The final game of the evening is upon us, Raz. TOP versus Jingdong. Game 3. TOP have brought us back, and Jingdong, I just threw my pen on the ground.
You're angry.
Yeah, absolutely. Just what on earth is going on with this? This is absolutely... Who does that? Who brings it to Game 3?
I don't know. Some unreasonable individuals named TOP.
Well, how dare?
They decided that we needed a longer day.
That's not how the script goes.
You know what? Rewriting it, apparently they were able to snatch it away from Mark Merrill.
You can't change the ending. They're already out of playoffs. But they're already looking pages ahead, and they're saying, yes, 2022 when we win Worlds. Let's bump that up.
Yeah, let's move it over to this
2018.
Summer.
This summer?
Yes, let's do it.
Coming soon. One team.
But they're just looking better time and time again. And even though I believe the best TOP involves the Goong in the mid lane, I think that Corrin is coming out and showcasing that he has a few more tricks up his book. So, Galio with Electrocute. Now, I'm not going to tell people to do it in solo queue. I'm not going to entertain it, but this game was rather fun. It allowed them to get a few more kills. One that comes to mind was the Kha'Zix pick near mid lane. That was nice to have.
The
being able
flash Shield of Durand over the wall.
Exactly. That was nice to see from the TOP. Like the TOP was a lot more communicative to be able to get that going for themselves. So their mid jungle working out quite well for themselves in that game.
Certainly did in that game too. That said, we saw what happens when it doesn't work out for them in game 1. Is that all it comes down to? Just synergy between the duo of Karn and Corrin versus Clit and Yagao?
Yes, but also the composition gave them a little bit of a boost. I would say 30% of that boost, able to edge out Jingdong just a little bit. When you have Jarvan or anybody and Galio combined together, you can make some beautiful magic happen.
Absolutely. And it did seem like we saw Jingdong, to echo Clement on the desk, show some hubris.
Yes.
In that game too. Oh, we can absolutely fight at this dragon. Wait a second, that is an Electrocute Galio, and he is going full AP.
And when you have that kind of composition just running you down, you do need an extra tank, or even I would say Olaf. I talked about it in the pick and ban. The desk spoke about it as well. Olaf would be a phenomenal pick into that composition. They knew really early on that it was going to be a Galio going up against them, and the best way to deal with Galio is to just ignore his CC and just ult at him. So Olaf would have been good in the early portions of the game. The later portions of the game would have been an answer to a lot of the team fights that they had, because Kha'Zix had no say in a lot of those fights. In fact, Kha'Zix, when those fights started, he was in the outskirts hoping to find some isolation, but Caitlyn was always alone, or at least, I mean, always with the rest of the team.
Yeah.
So never alone for herself, working around the Galio, just the raw tankiness on the side of TOP. So I want to see TOP, of course, run that same composition if they get the opportunity to. It's very easy to run, but Jingdong be a lot more reasonable in their jungle pick.
And that has been a strength that Chocho and Phage have run with in the past, but already Jingdong have adapted. Would you look at that ban? Caitlyn stricken away from Chocho. Have to take something a little bit less safe here in this game 3.
And it's TOP that say, we're on red side, we're not going to be able to give you the opportunity. We're not going to give you the opportunity of picking Galio. They banned it out themselves. So we're going to see different picks immediately going into this game.
Already the Tahm Kench also banned away from Phage, and again the Varus priority from Jingdong.
Yeah, Varus is a very strong laner, laning phase focus, and with no Tahm Kench, you got to wonder if Braum is going to be that next pick. If I'm TOP, I love to go Sejuani Braum. Sejuani Braum, we've seen it a lot of times. Great skirmishing around the bottom side of the map, and with how often TOP has focused that bot lane, go for it once more. I want to see it. Even picking up the Gnar once again. I mean, come on. TOP, they don't want to give you a single opportunity of taking away. They saw the last game in which they couldn't get it for themselves. So it seems like Gnar is going to get picked up. At the very least, pick up Sejuani here.
And you have to remember who's taking that Gnar in the top lane. It's Marin, world champion. He's got the skills. If anyone can sort of pull it off. But the Braum instead, Raz.
All right,
Not quite the Sejuani, but it's one of the two.
They just were focusing on the bottom side matchup, knowing that Tahm Kench was taken away. They give away Braum, then the tank picks that they get for themselves is not a good matchup. Sure, you can say that Tark worked so well in the last game, or at least in the early laning phase, but then it pulls them into that composition that TOP don't want to go for themselves. So Braum taken away. You got to wonder if they get the opportunity to go towards the Sejuani in the first phase.
Oh, Mao picking up Thresh here. Take a look at that win rate. 2 out of 13 games in the LPL 2018 spring has that Thresh won.
Yeah, 15% win rate, definitely very bad, you know. That's the status report.
Well said.
Not good.
Not good, yes.
Especially in this matchup. Going the Thresh into Braum, very bad for Thresh because you don't get the opportunities within the lane. If you hook somebody, it's likely going to be Braum, and you don't want to follow up because the Braum passive makes it very easy for you, for the Braum player, for the AD carry that follows him through, to just play it front to back. You don't have to worry about diving the Varus because Varus won't find an opportunity. So I just like the matchup here from TOP in the bottom side of the map just because they have the Braum to be that shield for the Ezreal.
And that's the answer. TOP prioritized their top and bottom lanes, those side lanes, perhaps relying on Corrin's larger champion pool to get them through. Again, this is Corrin, who in 2014 with Starhorn Royal Club went to the World Finals with Uzi and Insect. Couldn't close it out, though. Lost the series 2-1 against the likes of Samsung White. So if anyone has experience, it's world champion and world finalists on Marin and Corrin.
Yep, wealth of experience. And on top of that, just, I would say, versatility. Competence is another one, because you must be confident being surrounded by fresh blood and knowing that you can just say anything and they will follow you. So for him, if you're Corrin, the Orianna to mine comes down to, like, I think he can pick up the Orianna for himself and demand pressure. Orianna is a great laner if he knows what he's going up against. And if you pick up the Ori, you can call Karin to your lane, get full vision control of that, and start moving outwards, because we do want to see, once again, TOP play from mid lane outwards, so you have the map control to start.
Already Jingdong seemed to be preempting that. They ban away Rise. That's Zac taken away from Karin, but like you said, mid lane, big priority for Corrin, unless he's saving counter pick.
This would be interesting. The fact that the Olaf is being hovered, I wanted the Sejuani for a stronger team fighting core for TOP, but Olaf obviously just has a faster clear, can walk up to the enemy jungle. So they have two options here. It's the Sejuani or the Olaf. If they go anything else, they're trolling. It's an official statement from Raz. All right, official statement. I'm putting a stamp to it. And to be fair, they're holding on to their jungle pick, so it's not really trolling. It's just that they want the karma for the mid lane pick. It's a safe one, and they have the option going into the final pick. So I'll redact my statement.
Oh me, oh my. Don't get my hopes up there, you gal. Sees the Karma, knows that he's up against the Karma Ezreal composition for TOP. Gnar in the top lane, like you said, saving that jungle pick as Karin likely wants to get the counter matchup. But Talia is the pickup for Yagao. Looks like Kha'Zix is again going to be the hover from Clid. Sharp inhale of breath.
Happy face, sad face. Now, look, it's likely going to be the Kha'Zix pick.
Okay.
They've been thinking about it. Clid has found comfort in it in game one and wants to repeat that. The problem with the Kha'Zix is that it is very early game centric. Sure, you have the Sion pick to be the sole frontline, but I said it, sole frontline. You have Sion to walk up. Thresh in team fights quite poor if we're comparing it to Braum. So TOP should feel confident going into the later team fighting stages, and now just need to think about getting to the next location first before Kha'Zix has any way to ward it out. They picked the Jarvan once again because it's just better in team fights, a lot more in direction. But Olaf, once again, it's just the better matchup. So I guess they've decided, TOP, coach has put his foot down. I don't care about the damn matchup. Win out the team fights.
Yes. Play those comfort champions. Play something on which you can feel comfortable and carry and win the game. Chocho playing something safe. Corrin playing something supportive. Karin playing something that works in team fights. Marin, he brought something blue. Everybody on TOP looking quite happy with this composition.
But this reminds me of game one so much, at least the top side of the map. The top side of the map was not working well for TOP. This because Karin was moving towards the top side of the map and helping out Marin, but it was just a 2v1 and it turned into a 2v3 because Corrin on the Karma pick was not moving. I hope you learned the lesson from game one, had a proper game two. Now going into game three, you have to win out your lane. I think this is a good matchup for the Karma. Karma has strong poke within the lane. Sure, it's Talia that's going to have first push, but Tether does a wonderful thing in terms of winning out and forcing trades. So I want to see a strong 2v2 in the mid lane coming from TOP, and then they can push that top.
And just like an Alistar on an escalator, the stakes are rising.
My God.
As there is one game left between Jingdong and TOP.
I didn't like that.
Already 2 games behind Suning. Jingdong have got to catch up with them if they want to participate and at least have a fighting chance in the e-commerce war next week, whereas TOP, they are playing for pride. They are playing for their fans. They are playing for the 2018 LPL summer. And Raz, we are about to load onto the Rift here for Game 3 between Jingdong and TOP.
That man's voice is about to die.
Well, luckily, this is the last time this night that he's going to have to shout like that, as this is the final game between the two. Jingdong already setting up a defensive line on this bottom side. We'll see if, once again, Klid decides to start off on that wolf camp on the top half of the map, leaving his bottom lane to take an early advantage.
It's usually, I would say, a poor decision to look for these invades going up against the Braum team. But then that's the expectation that Braum is going to be topside, which usually isn't. Has to be in the bottom side protecting the wards, or at least catching out if Jingdong are coming from the bottom side of the map. So they're just taking advantage of the fact that the usual 5-man spread in level 1 means that the support is sectioned out in the bottom side of the map. So they're able to just push in and get that ward on the red buff.
Immediately we can see wave priority started off from RD and Mao, as Klid is going to get a leash onto his blue buff. Karin, springboarded just a bit faster by the duo of Chuchu and Phage, will be just ahead of him, actually racing through his jungle as he heads sprints even towards blue.
He needs to. They recognized that the level 1 was to catch him at his red buff. And Kha'Zix, good matchup into the Jarvan if he gets the head start. So he recognized that he could get cheese level 2. So he goes major camp to major camp so he doesn't get his red buff cheesed on. It's a good decision. He's going to be able to go to his Raptors or at least his wolf camp later on. So he's not going to be losing out in much experience.
Perhaps an early play from JD to try to prevent Karin from doing another level 2 cheese gank, like we saw in Game 1, as Yagao is actually going to step in and try to get some vision over here, even denying the blast cone.
That's a good point on the cheese gank, because could just go level 2 mid, but because of the pressure layered out in level 1, he just has to change his mind entirely. It's actually such an easy gank for Jarvan, going up against, having the karma to hold your hand.
Oh, Klid has found Karin. Level 3 to level 3. That's the isolation damage. He leaps away. Yagao, Flick forces flash.
And that's just really smart play from Klid. Recognize that because of the ward, Jarvan was topside, had to path down towards the bottom lane. Otherwise, he goes topside and has a really ineffective gank. This is going to be really difficult for Karin to impact top lane. So it made sense for Karin to go towards the bottom side of the map. But Klid just got there first, so very smart from him just to recognize how much faster he was to the play. And it was just Karin sleeping. Karin has to recognize that that was not going to be his place to look for a scuttlecraft.
And look at how the mid jungle for Yagao and Klid are tracking Karin. Yagao pushes in, immediately steps up and places a ward, spots him out, which allows Zoom to push up that wave up top before falling back.
We've seen this from junglers so often. The moment the matchup starts snowballing against the Jarvan in this instance, that it's so hard for them to ever shake off the enemy jungler. The only real way you can do that is to either get a proper pick if you pull your lane out, or just say, hey, you know what? I need you guys to start shoving. One lane, please start shoving so I don't find myself in a really bad position. He's taking a risk right here. Just because Talia's pushing in, Sion's completely pushed in. If he gets caught, if they know that he's doing Gromp, he dies. But I guess that's the risk you have to take so you can finally get some experience underneath you in this matchup.
Recall will complete as he makes his way back to base, and he is keeping pace with Klid for now, pinging now towards that Krug camp as Marin tries to trade back with Zoom. Finally a tank versus tank in the top lane.
Yeah, honestly, at this point in time, Marin should be getting more help. I really love the fact that Karin's risk paid off. So now that he's cleared out the camp, matched up with Kha'Zix, he can go straight back towards top lane, get the Krugs, and then try and gank top lane. So yeah, top lane matchup's going to be important because Marin's advantages that he was taking in Game 1 should be meaningful in Game 3 if this pathing works out well.
We'll have to see how Klid maneuvers around the map. Karin's out there just a little bit faster because of that recall. already. Lane's now pushing in for Mao and RD. Hook once again. Hitting onto Phage. You already mentioned the cooldown on that bone plating. What a sidestep from RD. He's played Varus all series. He's fully warmed up.
And honestly, if they're going to keep doing that in lane, Thresh looks good. It feels like he's, yeah, sure, you're constantly getting Phage hooked up, but also the damage that follows through from RD, he's so comfortable in doing so. So it would have been good if Braum's Q was able to tag out Varus so then Ezreal can follow through. But because not only is Braum's Q's missing, Thresh is constantly hitting his own.
That one actually hits. That's even the Ignite as well. A Lantern pulls RD back. But there is a ping towards that top half of the map. Take a look at the vision. Korn and Karin could be looking for a duo dive onto Zoom.
Yeah, this is going to be a full trade. Level 6 from Yagao too, so he's looking bottom lane while the top lane play is happening.
They're already setting it up. He flashes away very early. Warden tries, sees it coming. Zoom, can you outplay this? He just takes over to level 6. Can he get out? Tries to get some damage. Gets a knock-up. Marin goes low, but is still alive. Almost perfectly juggled, and he's forced to clear out the wave. Meanwhile, dive bottom. Phage still with Flash, and Flash and heal onto Chocho.
Marin is basing as fast as he can so he can get the TP towards the bottom lane. They need to move fast if you're Ding Dong.
That's the heal used. Hook catches onto Phage. He's pulled back in. The Ignite. And Phage goes down. Meanwhile, Mao flayed back. He's forced to retreat away. Chocho goes low and dies. A Flick denies Marin. 2 kills, Jing Dong.
So close. TOP was so close to being able to answer the play. Marin was getting there. But the fact that the top lane dive took a little bit longer than he would have wanted to meant that Jing Dong were able to get away with robbery. So finally, JD answer it up, and it's just top lane for bottom lane trade.
That will be the kill advantage towards Jing Dong in that bottom lane. And look at who those kills went on to. One onto Clid. You said he had to have an impact in this early game. Well, Raz 1-0-1 so far. The other one onto Talia. Yagao 1-0-1 as well.
It's just so hard to find that impact if you're Kha'Zix and your one motive, I suppose, or at least main directive, is to dive a Braum lane. It really needed to be perfect execution. And with how Clid's Game 1 execution and dives wasn't looking good, it was suspect for him to look for it in Game 3. He tried it. It worked out very well. They waited for the door to come down from Phage before they re-engaged on it. So they were patient enough knowing that they still had a time limit before Marin came down. It was successful, but it was kind of like a scene out of Mission Impossible.
Dun, 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 dun. The door shuts and Jing Dong are out. They get that kill on the back of it. Very close. In the meanwhile, Zoom was actually able to push in towards Marin and gets an extra buy-in as he picks himself up a cloth armor and a sapphire crystal to help keep him sustained and laned after that initial dive, after the pressure that Marin was putting down in that laning phase. Already you can see the Phage from Marin as he appears to be going straight for that Black Cleaver.
There we go. And you got, it's the usual. Oh, yeah. The only thing that isn't the usual, of course, the fact that he went towards Fleet Footwork. So the fact that now, of course, once he has Black Cleaver fully stacked up, or at least gotten for himself, purchased. Fleet Footwork is great for just pure split pushing, so this is likely going to be a game for him where he is going to be on a side lane, has the attack speed of the precision tree, and the top up of just having Fleet Footwork proccing for himself. This is honestly just the go-ahead for him to go towards the Zeal item that we love to see him build for himself in these matchups. So this is going to be Marin Unleashed.
It's a confidence play from TOP. Marin on the split push. We've talked about how difficult it is for lower tier teams to communicate with each other and how the difficulty of split pushing has plagued lower tier LPL teams, even higher tier LPL teams. Seems like only one team can really successfully split push in the league right now, and that's Invictus Gaming with how they communicate and maneuver around the map. And it's not the split pusher that we're worried about, it's the other 4.
Yeah.
That being said, that's a late game discussion. TOP making moves in the early game. Clid.
There's a flank forming here.
Looking to sneak in. That's the Weaver's Wall. Yagao catches up. He steals it by leaping in. Cataclysm. He flashes away. Knockup catches him. Winter's biting concussive blows. Pins him down. But the fight on the backside. Clid is dead. But they've managed to pick off Choo Choo. Jungler for AD carry. Korn snared down. He flashes early. But Yagao ready with the slow. Ready with the flick. Does he have enough damage? Soul Flink is going to try to get some health back. He dies as RD chases forward. And this fight is chaos. TOP are falling apart.
What a disaster for TOP. They felt really confident. Sure, they got Dragon taken away from them. They found Clid. They were going to be able to take down Clid, and it looked very clear up until Chocho gets flash hooked. The moment that happens, it all starts tumbling down. I know we're going to get a look at it later on, but That was beautiful out of the side of Lumao to find that opening and RD to follow up.
And with that, Infernal Dragon taken by Jingdong and a 2-kill advantage plus push pressure in the mid lane. It all starts with a Dragon attempt from TOP.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be on Reddit very soon because Jingdong looked like they were done. This team fight wasn't going to look good. But the fact that Lumao immediately found Ezreal, blew him up, and then chased him down, suddenly the flank looks great because TOP are not in position to fight anymore. So what I was surprised that when it was getting rough, Phage decides, I'm hopping back in. This is looking kind of good. And once again, we're not looking at the replay because the fight is already done. I don't want to see what happens to the Phage. Not at all.
Those 2 kills as he backs away. Clid ganking bottom, immediately leaps on. Forces Phage backdoor in the wrong direction.
Definitely backdoor has a new meaning.
He's protected from the backdoor.
My spine is strong enough.
Still though, 11 minutes in, and Jingdong are trying to up the tempo against TOP. They've got that Infernal Dragon. Though that being said, that was TOP reacting first. That was them taking the initiative in this play.
Yeah, and that's why I want
to Phage here. That's a cleanse being used.
Oh, that's a lot of
Lantern over the wall, and Phage goes down.
Yeah, and Chocho has got to get out of there. The fact that right now, Jingdong are starting to snowball out of control. Before that kill happened, the entire bottom side, Lumao, RD, Yagao, were all 1-0 and 3 just because the fight looked so good for them. So now they're just focusing this tower. Ezreal's got to sit here forever until the minion wave starts to come up to him. Don't do it.
Look at how unsafe that is. Klid's even being so careful not to clear out that ward and give temporary vision. Lumao just sitting in Tribush. While Zoom holds on to the top lane. Marin's actually holding on to teleport right now. Karin, he's given it up completely. He's on the Rift Herald. Tier 1 will go to JD.
And this is when, as a top laner, your entire plan going into this is to build towards a carry top, build towards split pushing. But when the towers on the opposite side of the map start crashing down so quickly, before you're even able to get towards, or at least start your second item, you have to start rethinking your role. Black Cleaver is a great starting item for every knock. But then the next item, which I would have thought would be Frozen Mallet because of the situation, now probably has to be a tank item because TOP likely have to play towards team fighting to keep their sign, or at least their sense of life here, alive.
And now 12.5 minutes in, Marin, we'll see what he decides to build over the course of the remainder of the game because like you said, TOP are down and behind. They are the underdogs in this series. They are the worst team in the league. Arguably one of the worst teams in LPL history if you take into account their loss streak of just a few weeks ago. But that being said, they found Mao. Good play. Hook buys time, but he is so dead.
Yeah, this is the TOP special in game 2. They were ahead back then, but at this point in time, if you find yourself in a position, a little bit desperate, find a pick. Know that wards are going to be something that Jingdong are going to be loving to take. Supports are going to be the ones that are going to be looking for those wards. So just wait for them to place them, or at least know that your control wards are there. You know they're going to clear it. So that's when you should be looking for the fight. It has to be Jingdong that play as a team towards that, recognize that if they're going to clear out a ward, they need to be cognizant of it, ready to TP for it. This is usually where you see LPL teams just all in 5v5 for a ward.
Or all in onto Yagao. Karin looking for the same exact play that he was hunting for a few minutes ago. He's able to follow up and find a kill onto Yagao as TOP find 2 quick picks. Klid, once again, walking in. Oh, I wish I had somebody squishy to assassinate. Oh, look, a tank, and then has to run away. Rift Herald even being used mid lane with that Talia dead, and they see RD top. They could try to break down this tier 1 here, Rats.
Yeah, it's going to take a long journey for RD to join his team.
Oh, yeah, Zoom, the classic. Whoa! From behind, Rift Herald. I've never seen Rift Herald charge backwards.
I've actually had it on a... Oh, wait a minute. A fight's gonna happen.
That's a fight. Oh, and that's Klid getting the assassination, and they kill the Herald to finish off the turret defense.
You know, for the sake of the advertising, I actually had this on my Plays TV. Like, the moment I picked the Scion, the moment the animation starts for Rift Herald, it doesn't stop. It doesn't matter if you toss him to the other world, he's flying back.
The other world?
The other world.
The Sepia world, the world of death. In League of Legends.
The pause world.
Ooh, no. Phage with the cleanse leaps away but gets knocked up. And the mid-tier 1 is taken by Jingdong.
I mean, Jingdong are fighting right now. Even though TOP had that one opportunity and they were looking towards getting that mid lane tower. The fact that they were able to pick a fight, Chocho.
Oh, Clid chases him down. Winter's bite, plus the concussive blows for the stun, the flay. He's got enough. Clid kites it back, steps onto the lantern, goes down to the flash. Winter's bite. Double kill, though, to RD. We're seeing TOP attempt to make plays, but Jingdong are responding, and they are responding correctly.
Yeah, I mean, TOP are doing this because they're behind. TOP are doing this recognizing that there's no other way to come back into the game other than to make this messy. So this is when people are talking about Clown Fiesta. It's a Clown Fiesta based off necessity.
Oh, the hook lands. The box and flay. He flashes, leaps away, ignite. RD, another kill on the Varus.
All right, Zoom, playing that bait. But we have to go way, way back in time.
How back?
To the 50s. When this Rift Herald decided it didn't need eyes to take this tower. But TOP, they were so confident of the fact that this Rift Herald was that strong that they went a little bit too far.
We call that the booty bump.
The flay comes through, picks up Jarvan. This is when you need to look towards what range you have on the team, because it shouldn't be Jarvan walking up that closely towards the tower itself.
Infernal Dragon started. Clid once again looking for the steal. He's got flash, but decides to give it up. Too many members of TOP. They take Infernal Dragon, but that's just crumbs. They're 4,000 gold down. And they need more than just a dragon to get themselves back into this game.
They're trying. That's what's great about TOP in this specific game. They're far, far behind. But they're not going to just wait for you to push the waves naturally, play a sweet and like a slow game. They're going to find where you're going to go. Cutting tempo is the name of the game. Your TOP, you recognize they're going to be looking for top lane tower because that's the only outer turret available. They've been looking to pick fights around that. Bottom lane around Dragon, same thing. So TOP are trying to play around Karin, his engage force. Right now he has ulti. I guess he's looking for Zoom.
That's a stun, plus the double knock-up. It's a bounce house for the Scion. Inside of the pen, he can't charge away. Phage happily tanks it up. An easy kill for TOP, but that's a lot of time bought, and the wave is cleared out. Jingdong still pushing for the tier 2.
Yeah, well worth the trade if you're JD. That being said, they don't have a wave here. Really good job from Marin to thin out the wave, because otherwise that would have been Jingdong flying towards the inhibitor turret.
Looks like we're seeing JD still push up top. They might well fly towards that inhibitor turret, Raz, as the bottom tier 1 finally taken by TOP, but the top tier 2 taken in answer. 4 turrets to 1. TOP, they're trying to make it messy, but Jingdong are sitting there with the big old roll of paper towel just cleaning it up.
Yeah, that's why usually when you see teams get to this point where they are looking for these desperation plays, you want it to be, let's say, 25 minutes into the game. Because at that point, they're at least close to the item break points where they're reasonable in terms of team fighting. But it's 17 minutes into the game. 17 minutes means that, sure, yeah, you're making it harder for Jingdong to look to the next objective. But they, even if they lose one fight, they can lose 3 more before you're actually in a strong enough team fighting position.
It's a threat.
Yeah. So to make this clearer, Chocho doesn't even have his Muramana. He still is building up his tier. He still needs to get towards his Blade of the Rune King. There are a lot of steps from him to be useful at this point in time, being 0 and 3. So these fights are just to stall for time, and they need to stall for a lot of time.
We'll have to see if they get that luxury, because 18.5 minutes in, JD are trying to accelerate. Smite and Flash from Karin doesn't even try to go for the standard over the wall.
Yeah, no Flash on their primary point of engage means that TOP shenanigans are probably going to be stalled. Trying to go for another anti-dive maneuver. And if you don't have Flash on Jarvan.
Anti-dive?
Anti-dive
Isn't that
maneuver.
just a survive?
I mean, sure. But they want to get kills off of the surviving. That's going to be hard.
There's a cleanse and the chains of corruption onto Phage. He's able to walk out of it nice and quickly, though.
Look at the wave building up in the bottom lane. Right now, Jingdong have seen that as their form of, say, pressure.
Look, once again, they know Karin has no flash. He's pulled in, they pile their damage, and they get the kill. Weaver's Wall and the FLICKR double for RD. 6 kills so far. Marin in the corner. Nobody puts Marin in a corner. He turns around and walks away angrily, but the tier 2 is shattered.
Yeah, he hopped, doesn't even have flash, but you can't follow him, especially with the shield coming down through. But here's the thing, 25 seconds until Baron, and I think that Jingdong are pretty healthy. So if you are now looking across the side of TOP and they don't have a jungler with 10 more seconds, you can look to at least set up for it.
Evolved Void Spikes for Clid to get additional slow and harass. Perhaps opting for a more Flanking style once again as the mid wave is defended. Still Zoom is holding on to the minion wave. RD fresh out of base with another recurve bow.
Here's the thing right now.
Here's the thing.
TOP can look to try and rush Baron if they're this desperate. It just popped up. But Jingdong are doing a great enough job in staggering times. That being said, looking at this replay, yeah, no flash on Jarvan. Braum is going to follow. And Marin just doesn't have flash. Doesn't die though. But that's why you have to look ahead, because this play looked great from Jingdong. The Baron is going to be even more impactful. Good job from Jingdong in staggering their recall. So now Sion is backing. Talia is going to be back on the map. And because they did that, Baron is safe. TOP is not going to get it for themselves.
For the time being, at least. But 90 seconds until Mountain Dragon is back up, and already you can see the collection of Jingdong members starting to set up vision.
Yeah, here we go. I mean, this should. If I'm Jingdong, you just kind of have to start it. Just because you have so much pick potential here, you can just go for the fight whenever you want.
That's not it.
Yeah, definitely not it.
He found Phage, but that's not the fight.
They might try and play this a little bit more safely by walking into red side jungle. They have a few more control wards. Sion and Kha'Zix does. Sion's on the bottom side of the map, so it's just going to be Kha'Zix wants to place his own.
Oh man, look at what Yagao built there. Rylai's Crystal Scepter. He wants to be even more annoying if he ever hits anyone.
Yeah, strong HP for himself, so he can't get bursted by anybody, honestly. What kind of damage is going to burst him out? It's full support of Karma? Well, it looks like they're going to find out.
Reaver's wall, once again, they're penned back. Chains of Corruption onto Chocho. He tries to retreat, but again, Karin goes down. Hook pulls Phage in, but they've got their sights set on the AD. Carry pinned and dead. That's the fight.
Yep, that's how easy it is. They were just waiting for Yagao to find a proper time to send the Weaver's wall. It's just that easy. They were worried for Lu Mao's hooks. They were just kind of pacing their way around that hook range. Completely forgot about the fact that Yagao is going to close the distance.
Now Marin is there, along with Korn and Phage. Baron has been started. Yagao harassing from the side. Marin forced to turn. He flashes, looks for the solo kill, has his ultimate ready. Yagao healed by Mao. The Baron is finished off. Glid with the smite locks it down, and TOP are forced to back.
Marin found his only opportunity trying to go for a fight. They didn't have a smite because Karin was down, so any fight would have been good. Jingdong are not going to present them with that opportunity. Great pick for them in the previous team fight, and it turned into an easy Baron take-up for them.
Pings did go down onto the Mountain Dragon. That could be the next objective, but 22 minutes in, JD with a huge advantage. Looking to close out this series. The team that has only recently found their identity in Glid and Yagao, still growing with RD, and showing that when it counts, they are no slouches against bottom teams.
Yeah, no slouches there. Starting to find real stars in their lineup. And we always have a discussion with this late into the regular season about all-star rookies, I would say. Who's going to be the strongest rookie of the split? Yeah, is it going to be Jackie Love? Is it going to be Knight? Is it going to be Yagao? Yagao's making a very strong case for himself with this series.
Now the siege has begun. Yagao forced to back away as Marin very close to Mega. Flash is ready, but Yagao just pops Mega and kites it out with the Rylais. Meanwhile, JD, 4 versus 3, they break the mid-tier 2. The final tier 2, I might add.
Yeah, they're going to go to the inhib. And that's why both Marin and Karin have to back away from whatever they were trying to do on the Yagao. They thought maybe they can get a pick on him. It was going to take a long time if they were ever on top of him. But they recognized if they ever commit fully to the play with how far Jingdong are in mid lane, they would lose an inhibitor.
Already the cannon minion firing across, but no banner means that they're able to clear it out and hold the line. RD already pushing on that bottom half of the map to just try and set up the split push. They've got teleport, but they don't need it just yet. Yagao with the Weaver's Wall. Might be ready to segment apart TOP. They fall back. Here comes the wave. RD steps forward. Wave is still standing, and RD fires across. The hook goes in between as the wave is cleared out. It's a lot of damage, but the turret's still up.
And you may not have a banner or command minion, but that minion is still doing a lot of damage. Really well done to just smite it from the sky. So, yeah, still have the dematerializer to save out that turret for a little bit longer.
Here comes the next wave. Still 70 seconds on the Baron. RD trying to dodge some of this poke. Phage fires across. Cataclysm onto Yagao. He flashes back. They turn onto Karin. They've got damage. Clay pulled to safety. Karin burning down dies. The first casualty of this fight. Perhaps the first casualty of this series. As Zoom continues to chase it forward. Chocho caught by the arrow. RD smells blood in the water and is set to chase it down. Flash hook onto Karin. He cleanses back, but Marin feels himself. He's trying to get the kill, a double kill for RD. Raz, this could be the series here as JD continue to chase a hook on the knock-up again. Triple kill onto RD.
I didn't know Hakuho had free plane tickets over here. Wait a minute. That Thresh is godly right now. Lumao had a phenomenal game on Thresh. I say had because this game is well and over.
7 seconds left for Karin. Korn trying to hold it down, but he's 1 versus 5. Tries to clear the minion wave, but Baron buff is still up. It is not enough. The knockup is denied. The dive onto the back line. An extra kill for RD. 10, 0, and 8. Yagao will finally fall, but the Nexus has been shattered. Jingdong win the series 2-1.
You better believe sweat was starting to drop on the side of Jingdong's forehead. They want to be able to go up against Suning and believe they'll take that 4th place spot. They needed to take this set, and they were able to do it finally.
Much closer, I think, than Jingdong would have wanted, but like you said, finally able to close it out 2-1 against TOP. And the fairy tale turnaround, Marin, Karin, and Korn not able to get themselves a 3rd series win here so far.
You gotta watch out for these mines. At this point in time, feels like, yeah, you can call them the worst of the league, and that may be true. But they're still pretty damn good. They're still taking games off of JDG. They're still taking games, and you have to be worried. You can't look past them. They were close, but Jingdong still got them in the peripheral, so they were able to finally take this game and look ahead towards Suning.
The e-commerce wars, the battle for the final playoff spot between Jingdong and Suning. Perhaps a preview of what it could be. Happening later this week as TOP make their way backstage. Still, you can hear how passionate the fans are for TOP. This is a team that has gone through some of the greatest trials of the entire league. The longest loss streak in the history of the LPL.
And they came back strong. The moment it was the end of Chinese New Year's, we heard tales, and of course, the confirmation that Marin came through. And they were finding victories, at least game victories, if not set victories. The team is looking better. The team has strength now. And although we're looking towards the summer for this team, the fans are still watching their games, game after game, and cheering them on.
And it certainly shows that emotional support is working for TOP. We're seeing them start to grow just a little bit more and find some of these picks against Jingdong. They were the ones setting the pace throughout the early game, but it was Jingdong reacting correctly, outplaying correctly to turn those plays on their head.
Yeah, 100%, which is a good lesson for Jingdong, of course. They need to learn these lessons now. The best thing about the Eastern Conference is if you're able to get out of, or at least get out of the, I guess, run into playoffs.
The middle of the pack, yeah.
You find yourself into the playoff spot, you've earned it. I mean,
Absolutely.
you really have. They're fighting this through and through. Jingdong deserve to be in playoffs, but deserve doesn't necessarily mean you get it because the Eastern Conference is hard and it's unfair.
And not to mention, learning how to adapt and play and react to the early game pressure of a team like TOP could be a bit of a warm-up, could be a bit of a stretch for this team because their next opponents are Suning, the most early game-oriented team in the league, the best early game team in the leagues. They even give IG a run for their money. They took a 2-0 series over Rogue Warriors earlier today.
Yeah, and you know what? If you are... You're Jingdong, you shouldn't feel too bad just because Suning Gaming also went to a 3-game series with TOP. But the way the 3rd game turned out, it wasn't anywhere near or at least close to what happened here. It was actually just a shellacking. It was a blasting. Early game, yeah, they're known for their early game because Suning just was all over the map. Specifically, Xiao. And of course, if we find ourselves with Knight's Echo pick, I'm going to love to see the mid lane matchup specifically, but if they are able to get out of lane, you have to be able to match them as they look to roam around the map.
Well, of course, we're looking to that matchup, but first it's time for us to look towards our analysts to break down that series.
Thanks, guys. I'm going to kick it off from the draft between these two teams, because you already mentioned that TOP in games 1 and 2 drafted well. Jingdong took a page out of their book, however, and they were able to draft well in game number 3, targeting the bottom lane where they've been so strong this entire matchup.
Yeah, and that's really the big change of this draft. They finally found a focus for themselves. You know, in Game 2, they had 3 focuses. They want to play the mid-jungle duo, they want to play the top lane, and they also want to play the bot lane. This game, scrap that. We're not throwing that many bans at the Marin, and we're just going to go all in on Chocho and Cat. These guys are on the bottom of the table at the LPL gold differential list, and we're just going to pound them over and over again. And they did that with the draft. Get the Sion, get the Talia, get the Kha'Zix.
Because TOP banned away Xayah as well as Alistar to kick things off. So Jindal responded, you know, we're going to take away your Caitlyn, which you had 2 games on, and what TOP has been playing around as the main strategy. Get rid of Tahm Kench so you have no safety net, and they pick Thresh in the bottom lane to punish the Ezreal pick going into the bottom lane coming out from TOP.
Yeah, Thresh was a big pick there because it makes more sense once you have the big picture of Talia and Kha'Zix coming into your lane. You can make those sudden gaps, and then Kha'Zix can be invisible and suddenly right next to Ezreal. Kha'Zix actually is very strong against Ezreal precisely for that reason. It's very easy for him to snipe that pick out. So it's a much better jungler pick. It's a much better synergy from the support as well.
Yeah, and they were able to gather a lot of power from the bottom lane. They also tried to attack the top side map. TOP went up to go and see if they could take down Zoom.
And this is the big point about the game, that Jingdong were able to zone in on the bottom. They didn't care much about what happened on the top side. If there was something happening on the top side, they were going to respond in the bottom lane and just try to get RD and that support on Lu Mao rolling. Which
again was a big difference. Yes, Zoom, he got the silence in Nam matchup, was able to use it well. But this time round, he didn't have that great matchup because that's where TOP tried to target. Jindal's response was, you know, we're going bottom lane over and over again, netted them so many advantages, and they were able to team fight and skirmish quite effectively.
Yep, and you have to give it to Lu Mao right here, going for the flash hook. This basically ended the game right then and now. Ezreal 0-3 to start the game, and that many skirmish kills going over to a composition like Talia, like Kha'Zix, it's pretty much a death sentence.
It goes back to the fact that TOP, you know, they tried to execute their draft in games 1 and 2. Game 1 was not successful. Game 2, they're able to get access to the first initiations. They try to be proactive in the 3rd game as well. But JDG this time executed their strategy a lot better. And although it was very messy for JDG, at least they pick up the point. Now they can still contest Sunny for that playoff spot.
Yeah, and we do have to talk about the implications right here. So the way we decide our playoff spot is first match score, then head-to-head, and then game wins. So the amount of games from each series all tallied together. If Suning and Jingdong split the head-to-head, Suning will still go on to win, go on directly to playoffs because they have more game wins. So that's something we really have to remember. It basically means that if Jingdong want to go, they need to secure the 2-0 in the head-to-head and really catch up to Suning.
Because they're currently a point behind Suning after Suning's victory over Rogue Warriors today, and that was a big match for Suning. Jindong now have to not only close the distance, means Suning have to drop a game or potentially drop to Jindong, then they can get their head to try and qualify, and that's really the last spot remaining in that conference, is that final spot in qualifications.
Yeah, definitely, that's true. And right now, I'm not sure which team I would really favor more over here. So, Suning, they look like they're more comprehensive overall. I think all of their lanes are firing off. They have more cohesion. Jingdong today was honestly a bit of a disappointment. It was a sliding back for them. They didn't look like they were very prepared for TOP, and I just hope they give us a good e-commerce wars series.
And although TOP have not been doing well lately and did not have a good split in the spring split of 2018, they have been showing some signs of light throughout the latter half of the split, taking games off some of the bigger teams as well. Marin coming to the team has been really good. He started to synergize both of them, and they're starting to execute strategies. Although it wasn't enough, and JDG able to pick up the victory, it's good signs from TOP.
Yeah, so what I really want from TOP is they need one strong laner. Just one more, and I think they actually have a good composition. Karn's good, but once you allow teams to camp Marin indefinitely, that's when you start losing the game. If they have one strong lane that can draw attention away, or even run that 4-1 shell, but with a better mechanical bot lane, I feel like they're in a good place. They have good coaches already.
We'll have to see what TOP can do throughout the rest of the season. However, in that matchup for JDG, they focused on the bottom lane. The bottom lane was where the MVP was awarded. RD picks it up, had a very disastrous game number 2, but bounced back in game 3 quite nicely.
Yeah, so we're seeing the flaws and the strengths of RD right here. He did come from the LMS, there's a bit more fiesta going on over there, and you can tell in his playstyle. He's not used to the AD carries really fighting back as much. He likes to play in the front line. That doesn't really work as well in the LPL. There's a much higher mechanical standard happening around here, so he's having to adjust his play a little bit. That pains me to say in my own region, but
it took him some time to adjust, but he has been trying to fit in well with the team, kind of like we saw how Mario is trying to fit in with TOP. RD is clicking well with JDG, but JDG still have a lot of problems, and they need to fix it moving into players, because even if they're able to clinch that spot against Suning, there are so many teams that have to go up against, the likes of Rogue Warriors, the likes of Victor's Gaming, even RNG from their own group, that are going to be difficult for them.
Yeah, what the path they're really looking at is BLG and then RNG. So, yeah, I think in their current form, they might scrap past BLG, but it's a stone wall of death when they face RNG. So that's the real thing they need to look at. What I would really want to see is the mid and jungle synergy really be taken up a notch. This is how they're going to beat BLG. This is how they're going to stand their ground against RNG. So that's the point that they should hone in on.
Because if you cast your mind back, they had a decent match against RNG, where they actually picked up a victory. However, this match against TOP seemed to be a little bit of a struggle for JDG, but they still picked up the victory and propelled themselves to 8-8. Above them, Suning currently sitting at 9-7. That's the final spot left to lock in who is not going to make it to playoffs in the Eastern Conference. RNG could potentially also drop down there as well, but they do have the game in hand buffer over Suning.
Yeah, that is very close right there. So 3 teams fighting for their lives. RNG have not been looking very good. Do remember that they did lose to Jingdong as well. So all of these teams need to stay strong. Only 3 matches left.
For the side of Eastern Conference as well, LGD, unfortunately, matters were not in their hands, and with that Suning win earlier today, it has knocked them out of playoff contention. For the side of the Western Conference, however, things are still undecided. It's only Vici who have been eliminated so far. Everyone still has a fair shot.
To be honest, I feel like FBX actually has a stronger shot at the playoffs even at this moment right now. They're looking much sharper with Cool back in the lineup. If they can take a 2-1 and just get one more game over BLG, they will be in the playoffs. BLG, of course, does have the head-to-head, but they haven't met yet. That's going to be a big showdown.
And those 2 teams are actually going to be playing on Friday this week. Remember, there's only 2 weeks left of the LPL. Coming up, we will have BLG taking on Fun plus Phoenix Wells, LGD going up against Juno Gaming. That'll be this Friday.
Yep, that's a huge match for both of these teams. Like I said, FPX is actually in the stronger position right now, even though BLG has the game-winning lead. Cool has changed that team, and Athena feels like he's still sleeping.
Very, very sleepy mid laner. Not only do we call him that, but his teammates have started to call him the sleepy mid laner as well. And like we said, 2 weeks left, Clement, 2 weeks before playoffs. These are the rest of the regular split matches, and every single point counts for both conferences to try and get into the playoff spot. Tuesday and Wednesday, we will not be broadcasting the LPL on the English broadcast. Fortunately, though, you can still catch all the LPL action. Head over to Panda TV or Douyu.com in order to watch the games that will be broadcasted by the Chinese team. We, however, will be back on Friday, starting at 5 o'clock Shanghai time with the rest of those matches. But that's all from us here today. On behalf of myself, Clement, our analyst, our casters, as well as our entire production team, thank you so much for watching. Get out of here. Go somewhere else. Bye-bye.